Hey friends, if you caught my previous video on the craziest fitness fads ever, you know we've endured some wild trends. Jane Fonda workouts, thigh masters, and a sea of neon spandex. Seriously. And it's mind-blowing to think that people actually believe grapefruit was a magic fruit, cabbage soup was a liquid lifestyle, and you could survive on shakes and sheer willpower. What were we thinking? Yep, we've been through some things. From early history to modern times, we're plunging fork first into the zany, wacky, and bewildering world of diet fads. They promised instant weight loss and eternal bliss, but mostly delivered hunger, confusion, and a serious shortage of fun and results. Skipping meals? Check. Drinking meals? You bet. Chewing meals and spitting them out? Yeah, some of us did that. And yet humans keep trying and spectacularly failing. Sure, some diets actually worked, but this isn't that video. Today we're looking at the ones that were less successful and far more entertaining. Throughout history, humans have tried some truly questionable ways to trim their waistlines, and today we're digging into the most memorable ones. So grab your diet soda, hide your bread, and prepare yourself. We're about to chew our way through the craziest diet fads, from the pre-1960s experiments all the way to today's algorithm-approved wellness plans. We give you permission to laugh at our collective diet trauma. So let's sink our teeth into this deliciously messy history of dieting. Chapter 1, Pre-1960s. Dieting before it was cool. Before modern fads, dieting was already, interesting. In the 1800s, people tried vinegar, tapeworms, yuck, and cabbage soup to shrink their waistlines. By the early 1900s, dieting had gotten slightly more civilized, but still weird. Kooky fad foods, strict meal timing rules, and endless patent medicines that promised a slimmer figure while completely ignoring the whole super important nutrition part. Way before anyone thought dieting meant eating so many carrots they'd turn orange. The kicker is that most people were naturally thinner back then. Their diets were simple: lots of vegetables, moderate grains, meats, and very little processed sugar or refined carbs. Hunger wasn't a constant battle, and the idea of slimming down wasn't quite the obsession it would become. But of course, the moment refined sugar, flour, and convenience food hit the scene, dieting went from optional to essential. Twinkies, sugary sodas, and ultra-addictive snacks. Goodbye, self-control. Women strapped themselves into early corsets, men counted every calorie of steak and toast, and everyone seemed obsessed with the idea that thinness equaled virtue. These early fads laid the foundation for what would explode into the glamorous, but often miserable, dieting culture of the 1960s, teaching us one thing: humans will always try anything to look insta-perfect, even way before Instagram existed. Chapter 2, The Swinging 60s, Grapefruit, Cigarettes, and Starving in Style. Ah, the 1960s, a decade when dieting wasn't about health, it was about thinness, charm, and smiling through the hunger. It was a different kind of Hunger Games, though. This decade loved simple rules, and none were more famous than the era's most popular diets: the grapefruit diet, the cigarette diet, the airline stewardess diet, the drinking man's diet, and the sleeping beauty diet. Someday my prince will come? Let's start with the grapefruit diet. The logic: eat half a grapefruit before every meal and poof, fat magically disappears. Science was not consulted, but the fruit was pink, trendy, and looked fantastic next to the starlets in glossy magazines. Then there was the cigarette diet. Yep, that's real. ads literally encourage people, especially women, to smoke instead of eating. Hungry? Light up. Craving dessert? Nicotine. Because apparently the only thing worse than fat was food. And yes, people actually thought this was a brilliant idea. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. Then there was the Cavalier airline stewardess diet. Eating almost nothing, staying cheerful, and making being thin look effortless, all while serving drinks. Strength didn't matter, fragility did. Audrey Hepburn and Twiggy set the standard, and if you weren't skinny, you clearly weren't trying hard enough. Portion elimination was the norm, skipping meals a badge of honor, and yes, some people even fainted while following the rules. Dangerous? Absolutely. But that was apparently part of the process. Oh, she'll be fine, just working on her waistline. Skipping meals was considered discipline, and hunger was worn like a badge of honor. Other hits, or misses, from this decade included the Drinking Man's diet, which suggested swapping meals for booze, because calories don't count, apparently, and the Sleeping Beauty diet, where the cure for hunger was, well, just take a nap. Both wildly impractical, slightly horrifying, and perfect examples of how far people would go for a slimmer silhouette. The 60s taught us dieting could be stylish, but also exhausting, miserable, and downright risky. What landed in this decade? Basic calorie awareness. What flopped? Smoking, starvation, and grapefruit worship. Chapter 3. The Disco 70s, Liquid Diets and Cottage Cheese Despair. The 1970s loved wellness, but also loved shortcuts. The decade of Saturday Night Fever and the Village People brought a realization that solid food was, well, optional. Popular diets of the decade included liquid protein diets, the Stillman diet, the Beverly Hills diet, the Scarsdale diet, and the infamous cabbage soup diet. Liquid protein diets created by Dr. Stuart K. Perrin and others replaced meals with shakes, powders, or strange liquid blends. Chewing was optional, and side effects could be serious enough for a hospital visit. The Stillman diet, developed by Dr. Irwin Stillman, focused on high-protein, low-carb madness, mostly meat, cheese, and eggs, with veggies severely limited. The Beverly Hills diet claimed you could eat only certain foods on certain days, and that food combining was a secret to instant weight loss. The Scarsdale diet was a low-calorie, low-carb plan with strict daily menus. You were either following it perfectly or failing spectacularly. And of course, the cabbage soup diet, which had already been making the rounds for years, encouraged you to eat as much cabbage soup as you wanted for a week, and very little else. Flavor was optional, and let's just say so was discretion. Flatulence became an inevitable side effect. Some of these diets even landed people in the ER, yet the trends somehow continued. Chewing, optional. Happiness, not included. And of course, cottage cheese, everyone's favorite bland weight loss companion. Plain, cold, and emotionally devastating. It was often paired with lettuce, tomatoes, and regret. Rice cakes arrived too. Crunchy discs that taste like packing material but promise thinness. Add diet soda and you had yourself a full 70s meal. People thought they'd cracked the code. Unlimited sweetness, 0 calories, no consequences. Wishful thinking. Diet culture claimed to be natural and holistic, that sipping your meals was somehow better than eating them. Confusing, contradictory, and a little too brown and beige. Thanks, Blender. What landed in this decade? Protein awareness and portion thinking. What flopped? liquid-only diets, and flavorless suffering. Chapter 4: The Electric 80s. Low-fat everything and no taste allowed. Ah yes, the 1980s, a decade of excess, except when it came to fat. Fat became the enemy, the villain, the thing ruining America. Popular diets of the decade included low-fat and fat-free everything, SlimFast, the Pritikin diet, and a general obsession with counting every calorie of every bite. Calculators worked overtime. Food became math, and hunger? That was a failing grade. Low-fat, fat-free diets dominated. Everything was labeled low-fat or fat-free. Yogurt, cookies, cheese, salad dressing. If it tasted like disappointment, congratulations. It was considered healthy. The irony? When you remove fat, manufacturers often added sugar to make it more palatable. People were consuming more sugar than ever, which meant energy spikes, crashes, and of course, cravings that never quit. It wasn't dieting, it was swapping taste for a sugar rush. This was way before keto turned fat into Cinderella instead of the wicked stepsister. Then there was SlimFast, a shake for breakfast, a shake for lunch, and a sensible dinner. Sensible did a lot of heavy lifting, and people eagerly embraced the promise of fast weight loss with minimal chewing. Side effects included constant hunger, dizziness, and the notorious shakes. Then the prepackaged bottles and cans hit the shelves. More convenient, no milk required, but definitely harder on the wallet. Convenience usually comes at a price. And yet, it fit perfectly with the 80s obsession with quick fixes, celebrity endorsements, and the dream that beauty came easy, as long as flavor and sanity weren't deal breakers. The Pritikin diet promised heart health with an ultra-low-fat, high-carbohydrate plan. Mostly vegetables, fruits, and whole grains, but with the kind of blandness that can make even the Jolly Green Giant cry. People tried to convince themselves it was delicious while secretly daydreaming about pizza and chocolate. We were calorie counting everything. If it had a label, it was scanned, weighed, measured, and meticulously logged. Food became math. Hunger meant failure. Every bite was a decision. Every snack a potential disaster. Books on dieting multiplied like rabbits, each promising you could finally conquer your waistline. Reality check? Nope. The 80s were also the golden age of food anxiety. Everything was low fat, sugar was lurking everywhere, shakes promised miracles, and counting every calorie made life feel like a test that you were doomed to fail. I was told there'd be no math. What landed? Reading labels and moderation awareness. What flopped? Fat phobia, sugar overload, and a generation convinced that anything enjoyable was probably evil. Quick pause. If any of this is unlocking a forgotten diet memory, hit like so I know I'm not alone. Comment on which crazy diets you may have tried or laughed at. And if you're enjoying these nostalgic deep dives, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you, I appreciate it. Now let's keep going. Chapter 5, the 90s. No carbs, no peace. The 1990s kicked down the door and declared, you know what the real problem is? Carbs. Suddenly, pasta was public enemy number one. Bagels were suspicious, and fruit, nature's candy, was basically guilty by association. Popular diets of the decade included the Atkins diet, the South Beach diet, the Zone diet, and SnackWell's fat-free everything. First up, Atkins diet. Invented by Dr. Robert Atkins, this high-protein, low-carb plan focused on meat, cheese, and butter. The idea was simple. Cut carbs and the weight will melt off. Energy levels? Not guaranteed. But yes, bacon became a health food, at least according to your waistline. It was a happy day for humans, but a sad day for pigs. The South Beach diet, created by cardiologist Dr. Arthur Augustin, was less beach and more lean protein, healthy fats, and low glycemic carbs. Basically, the diet that thinks it's fancy. Phase 1. Cut all carbs, making bread lovers weep quietly into their gluten-free toast. Enter the Zone Diet. Developed by Dr. Barry Sears, this diet was all about balance, or at least the illusion of it. Eat 40% carbs, 30% protein, 30% fat at every meal. Perfectly portioned. People spent hours measuring and calculating, but at least you could feel like a scientist while you starved. Thumbs up. SnackWell's fat-free everything sounded decadent enough. A 1990s commercial invention, these fat-free cookies, cakes, and snacks promised guilt-free indulgence, and America said, "Great!" Then ate the whole box standing over the sink. The irony? Taking fat out didn't make them healthy. It just made people eat more. Turns out we don't know how to snack well, or at least snack healthy. The 90s taught us that cutting carbs could drop pounds fast, but patience, energy, and sanity were often casualties of war. Office break rooms became battlegrounds. Muffins and donuts were treated like weapons, and sugar-free cookies were simultaneously starvation and doom. The decade's obsession with low-carb living set the stage for decades of carb anxiety, proving once again that when it comes to dieting, humans will chase anything that promises quick results, even if they're fleeting. What landed? Quick weight loss for some, carb awareness, and the popularity of high-protein diets. What flopped? Carb paranoia, obsession with fat-free nonsense, and the rise of collective hanger. In other words, everyone was starving and mad. Chapter 6. The 2000s. Detox, cleanses, and celebrity chaos. The 2000s arrived and declared, it's not about food anymore, it's about purifying your soul. Popular diets of the decade included the Master Cleanse, juice cleanses, raw food diets, 100-calorie snack packs, and a never-ending parade of celebrity-endorsed plans. Detoxes, cleanses, and juice fasts were everywhere. The Master Cleanse, lemon juice, maple syrup, cayenne pepper, and absolutely no food, was the crown jewel of suffering. Folks proudly proclaimed they hadn't eaten in days because apparently suffering was fashionable. Meanwhile, celebrity culture poured gasoline on the fire. Low-rise jeans ruled, stick-thin bodies were the ideal, and if a celebrity sneezed near a juice cleanse, the world followed. Eating became transactional. You weren't eating for pleasure, you were eating to fix something. Juice cleanses, extreme detoxes, and diet water promised salvation, and we collectively bought in, sometimes literally at the cost of our sanity. This was also the decade of quirky packaging and gimmicks. 100-calorie snack packs that made tiny cookies feel like a victory, raw food fanatics turning vegetables into super-powered fuel, and celebrity liquid diets that somehow cost more than a meal at a restaurant. It was indulgence masquerading as self-control, marketing masquerading as science, and diet culture masquerading as wellness. What landed? Ingredient awareness, early wellness buzz, and fad culture becoming part of everyday life. What flopped? Detox culture, celebrity worship, and deprivation with a straw. Chapter 7. Today, keto, fasting, and influencer food rules. Today's diet culture doesn't yell, it whispers from your phone. Welcome to the era of keto, intermittent fasting, biohacking, and influencers who calmly share, I just stopped eating until noon, and it really worked for me. Carbs are back on trial. but now with science words. Bread isn't evil, it's inflammatory. Sugar isn't bad, it's toxic. And gluten? Problematic for some, harmless for most, but it still gets all the blame. Keto promised fat-burning magic by cutting carbs once again, but this time with charts, macros, and very confident men on podcasts explaining mitochondria. Suddenly, fat wasn't the enemy anymore. Now, some fats were good. Hello, avocado, olive oil, and yes, butter in moderation, while others remain bad. Looking at you, trans fats and mystery oils. People proudly piled on bacon, cheese, and heavy cream while saying, "I'm in ketosis," as if it were a luxury vacation with a gift shop. But anyone who dared eat a slice of bread, a rogue potato, or a bite of chocolate, they'd instantly fall out of ketosis, as if their metabolism personally judged them for a second of joy. Time to start all over again. Intermittent fasting rebranded skipping breakfast as a productivity lifestyle. You're not hungry, you're disciplined. You're not tired, you're optimized. Eat outside the window? You didn't just eat wrong, you failed your eating window. Hovering over all of it are influencer food rules. One says fruit is dangerous, another swears it's healing. One claims seed oils will end civilization, another insists fear of seed oils is the real problem. Everyone has a morning routine, everyone has supplements, everyone is absolutely certain they've cracked the code, and they'd love to sell it to you. Your feed is full of eat this, not that graphics, perfectly proportioned smoothie bowls, and charts that make you question every snack you've ever loved. The bright side? We're finally talking about blood sugar, insulin resistance, gut health, and ultra-processed foods more intelligently than ever. Personalization matters. The downside? Rules, restriction, and fear still dominate, now packaged in glossy wellness branding. What landed? Personalized nutrition, more awareness of metabolic health, smarter conversations about processed food. What flopped? Endless food rules, wellness moralizing, influencer expertise with zero credentials, and the anxiety of eating without checking your phone first. Chapter 8, From Scales to Smartphones, Weight Loss Centers and Apps. Before apps, before influencers, before your phone told you when to eat, dieting meant going somewhere, usually a strip mall, usually next to a nail salon. From the late 80s into the 2000s, weight loss centers like LA Weight Loss, Jenny Craig, and Nutrisystem promised structure, counseling, and a plan for success. You weighed in weekly, talked to a counselor, followed a menu, and sometimes got aggressively introduced to supplements and packaged food products. Some even delivered right to your door. Convenience was king, but motivation still had to come from within. These were the classic diet fads, popular, often hyped up programs that promised quick results, sometimes with a gimmick or celebrity endorsement, and usually faded from prominence after a few years. The focus was on strict rules, rapid weight loss, and accountability, often without teaching long-term habits. Fast forward to today, and much of that guidance has moved to your phone or wrist. Apps like Noom track meals, Fitbit counts every step and every calorie burned, and notifications constantly nudge you about what to eat, when to eat it, or how guilty you should feel about skipping a workout, all without ever leaving your couch. Dieting has gone digital, but the underlying principle hasn't changed. Structure and accountability matter. For some, dieting wasn't enough, and surgical options even became a part of the conversation. To be fair, some of it did work, at least temporarily. What helped was the structure, the check-ins, and the accountability of someone asking, So, how did this week go? For a lot of people, that was the missing piece. But what didn't work was the cost, the pressure, the upselling, and the idea that success meant staying trapped in the system forever instead of learning how to eat in real life. A life without a membership card or a weekly weigh-in. Conclusion. So, did any of these actually work? Before influencers and apps, diet culture spread through glossy magazines, best-selling diet books, daytime TV, and late-night infomercials. Same promises, different packaging. After decades of grapefruit, shakes, fat-free cookies, carb panic, juice cleanses, keto bacon breakfasts, and influencer macros, did any of it actually work? Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The truth? Most diet fads worked short-term and then failed spectacularly long-term. Not because we didn't try, but because humans aren't wired to survive the great fads of the past. Cabbage soup, liquid protein, and cayenne spice lemon water rituals. What actually stuck across every decade was never flashy. Moderation, using a scale for portion control, movement, a walk, chair exercises, yoga class, whatever gets you moving, consistency, eating healthy foods regularly, structure, following a plan like the Mediterranean diet, and the occasional cheat day. Or, don't beat yourself up if you sneak a cookie. Just get back to your routine. Basically, it's about being human, not a diet-obsessed robot. Dieting isn't sexy. It's not marketable. And it's definitely not something you'll find in one of those diet or health magazines at the checkout promising you can drop 10 pounds fast. So maybe skip those kind of magazines. They've been peddling miracle fixes for decades. There's no magic diet, but wow, have we tried. And apparently we're still trying. As technology grew, apps replaced offices, tracking replaced weigh-ins, and people realized they wanted flexibility, not contracts. The takeaway? Structure helps. Accountability matters. But no program works if it doesn't teach you how to live without it. And that's the kicker. Well, we survived the crazy diet fads that your grandparents, parents, or even you may remember or have fallen for. Don't worry, you're not alone. I may have tried one or two myself over the years, because apparently we can't resist when someone promises results by Tuesday. If you enjoyed this video and want to keep going down the rabbit hole with me exploring more of our crazy and cool past, go ahead and subscribe to Retrospective. Ring the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. And please drop your diet horror stories in the comments. I'll be reading every single one, laughing loudly, and feeling extremely validated. And if any of these diets actually worked for you or someone you know, first of all, congratulations. And second of all, I absolutely need to hear about it. I'm Cindy. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and I love sharing these nostalgic blasts from the past with you. See you next time. Stay retro and snack responsibly.